People think betrayal sounds like a gunshot. Sharp, final. It doesn't. It sounds like your son whispering in a bathroom he thinks you can't hear. "Sure, honey, move in with us. She'll pay for everything," he said. Not even said. Whispered. The way a kid whispers about candy money in church. He was talking about me. And by she, he meant Lisa, his brand new wife. The woman in the white dress. The woman who, in about an hour, was going to slap me in front of 100 people and smile while she did it. That was 3 hours into the wedding reception. Before the slap, before the crying, before the hall went silent, before I called Mike, before all of it. But I'm getting ahead. Let me rewind and give you the room. You need to see the room. It was one of those rented event halls near the highway. Beige walls pretending to be gold under dim lighting, rented chairs with covers to hide the stains, fake flowers in cylinders, plastic champagne flutes acting like crystal. The kind of place where every table thinks it's the main table. I had on the only suit I still owned, navy, shiny at the elbows, clean shirt, shoes buffed, because I was raised by a man who believed if you can't control your situation, then you at least control your shine. I am Tom Barrett. I'm 58. Used to fix outboard motors at a marina on the south end of town. After the marina sold and got turned into boutique condos for people who like to kayak in circles and post about it, I became the handyman everybody calls when their garbage disposal smokes or their fence leans like it's had a stroke. I pay my bills. I mind my business. I don't bother anybody. That used to be true. Evan is my son. 33, software project something. He changes the title every few months. Jobs come and go. His shirt collars got more expensive and his hands got softer. He used to sit in my lap and fall asleep on the bench seat of my old truck when I worked nights. He used to fall asleep to the sound of sockets and ratchets. He used to love me like air. And now he whispers in a bathroom about how I'll pay for everything. Here's what started it all. You ever notice how weddings aren't really for the couple? They're auditions. Two families walk into a room and measure each other like they're picking out cattle. Her side was money. I don't mean rich like magazine spreads. I mean steady. House in a gated community. New cars every 3 years. You look at them and you see insurance, orthodontics, vacations that involve airports. Our side was me. That was already strike one. Lisa likes that difference. It makes her feel tall. She's 32, tall anyway, sharp nose, hair so smooth it looks ironed. Everything on her is placed. There's not a loose thread on her, not a fingernail with a chip. She smiles with her whole face when people are watching, and only with her mouth when they're not. "Tom," she said to me during cocktail hour, holding my forearm like I was a toddler trying to cross traffic. "Can we talk about living arrangements? Just practical stuff. We'll just do it up front, clean and easy." Clean and easy. She said it like we were signing for cable. I said, "What living arrangements?" She did a little laugh like I was adorable. "After the honeymoon we're moving in," she said. "We are," I said. "You know it's best," she said. "It's not safe for you to be living alone at your age, and the stairs in that building are a hazard. And the rent money is just, honestly, waste. It's time to transition the asset and structure things in a way that protects you long term. We'll take over management." You catch that? Management. She was already talking, like my apartment was a holding company I needed help operating. "It's my lease," I said. "For now," she said. "Now here's the part where you probably expect I blew up." I didn't. I am not stupid and I am not emotional in public. I learned early that people don't remember what was said, only who was loud. I said, "We'll talk later." She didn't like that. She likes people who fold quick. She thinks quick folding is respect. It's not. It's weakness. She doesn't know the difference, and that was going to be her problem. I was walking away toward the men's room when I heard Evan say it. "Sure, honey, move in with us. She'll pay for everything." He thought the door was closed. It wasn't. He was whispering through his teeth. My first thought was, he's scared of her, not annoyed, not whipped, scared. I'd never heard that note in my son's voice. I didn't like it. My second thought was, she'll pay for everything. She, me. He said it like I was a credit card with knees. So now you understand the temperature when she did what she did next. Dinner happened, toast happened, dancing happened. They did their first dance to some country song Lisa said was their story, even though she'd met my son 11 months ago, and the lyrics talked about knowing each other since high school. Then it was cake and coffee. People sitting, people loose, people drunk, phones out, streaming, because nobody is at a wedding anymore. They are content producing at a wedding. Lisa stood up, glass in hand, little fork, ping, ping, ping. Everybody, she said, before we do gifts, we just want to make a little announcement about family, because this is about family. She loves that word, family. She wears it like perfume. We're so excited to tell you that we're bringing Dad home, she said, and she touched my shoulder like I was some rescue dog from a shelter ad. He's going to be living with us now, and we're going to make sure he's taken care of. Isn't that right, Tom? Now, let me tell you something about me. You can insult me, you can lie about me, you can whisper about me, but you don't ever take my voice out of my own mouth. So I said, loud enough to carry, that's not true. Room noise dipped. Not off, but dipped. Lisa laughed. That fake, soft laugh women in real estate classes practice in front of mirrors. Oh, Tom, she said, don't be silly. We're just formalizing what we already talked about. It's safer. It's efficient. It's time. It's not happening, I said. Now the room did go quiet. People love tension as long as it's not theirs. You could feel heads tilt like sunflowers toward us. Lisa didn't like that I wasn't playing along. Her mouth tightened. The smile stayed, but the eyes went flat. Then give me the keys, she said. She put her palm out. Fingers wiggled. I said, what? Your apartment keys, she said. Give them to me now so we don't have to make this uglier than it has to be. That last part was not for me. That last part was for the room. That was performance. She was setting up a scene so if I refused, she could make me look unreasonable. This woman is not dumb. She's dangerous in the way neat people are dangerous. They do the homework. They show up knowing where the exits are. I said, no. Just that. Simple. No speech, no drama. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't curse. I didn't explain. No. You could feel the oxygen move. Lisa's face twitched like something short hid behind her eyes. Then she did it. She lifted her hand and she slapped me across the face. Open palm, sharp, loud, real. The whole hall gasped, like a choir. Somebody actually said, "Oh my God," in that voice people use in courtroom shows when the prosecutor pulls out the surprise folder. Me, I didn't move. Her palm stung. I'm not going to pretend it didn't. I'm older, not made of granite, but I had taken harder hits under boat holes. I'd smashed knuckles on seized bolts that hurt more than her. What got me wasn't the pain. It was Evan. Because my son did not come to me. My son did not step between us. My son did not grab her wrist and say, "What are you doing, Lisa?" My son said, "Right, Dad, can you please not make this difficult?" That was the moment my son died for me. Not physically. I'm not talking murder. Don't get dramatic. I'm talking emotionally, spiritually. I watched him close a door and lock it and slide the key across the table to her. He was gone, so I turned and walked out of that hall. Here is where you might think I stormed out, slammed a door, broke a chair. You'd be wrong. Rage is a teenager's sport. What I felt wasn't rage. It was something colder, cleaner. If you've ever worked on engines, you know this feeling. When a motor seizes, you don't start yanking. You pause. You catalogue. You look at the whole assembly. You touch one belt, one hose, one bolt at a time, and you find out where the problem lives. That night, standing in the parking lot under those buzzing sodium lights, cheek warm, Tie pulled loose. Because I hate anything touching my throat, I took out my phone and called Mike. Mike Dunn answered on the second ring. "Barrett," he said. "Mike," I said. "That tone," he said. "You in trouble or you about to start some?" "Yes," I said. That made him laugh. "Where are you?" he said. "Garden Terrace Banquet," I said. "I know that place," he said. "Hold tight. I'll be there in 20. I said, "Make it 15. He said, "Copy that." Now you need to know who Mike is, because in about 20 minutes, this whole night was going to crack open on its hinges. I met Mike 12 years back when I still had the marina job. He was Navy then, not long out. Came in with a busted Johnson motor clamped to a John boat that looked like it had seen combat, even if technically it hadn't. I fixed the Johnson for cost and a handshake because I could see in his hands the kind of shake that meant he wasn't sleeping. That's all you need to know. When a man is holding things too tight, sometimes you cut him a break. We stayed in touch. He got himself steadier. He did some contract security work, the kind with NDAs. He doesn't talk about it. I don't ask. One last thing. Men like Mike keep lists. Who they owe. Who owes them. I was on the first list. I went back inside before he arrived. I didn't do it because I wanted to. I did it because if I stayed outside, they'd say I ran away. I don't run. People stared like I'd walked in with an axe. Drama makes people stupid. Lisa was dabbing her eyes with a cloth napkin. Performance, again. She can cry on command. If she ever needs work, she should try daytime TV. She'd own it. "Oh, good, he's back," she said, all sniffles. "Can we please not make this harder than it has to be, Tom? Just give me the keys so we all feel safe." "You're not getting my keys," I said. "Why are you being selfish?" she said. "This is about care." "This is about control," I said. "Same thing," she said. People actually nodded at that. I'm not kidding. That's the world now. Control and care are sold as the same product. They tell you you're being taken care of while they take everything. Evan stood behind her. He wouldn't look at me. He had that polite smile men wear in HR seminars. "Lisa," I said, loud enough for the people at the next table to hear, "if you put your hands on me again, I will have you removed from this hall by security for assault, in front of your parents, and you will spend the night in the back of a cruiser in a dress that cost more than my truck. Now sit down." Her eyes widened. Not because she was scared of police. Women like Lisa don't think police are for them. They think police are theirs. No, what hit her was that word. Assault. I had said it in front of her people. I had named it. That's when the room changed. You could feel her control warp at the edges. She was losing the narrative. She opened her mouth to try to grab it back, and then the doors opened. Mike walked in. Now, you need this picture. Mike is 45 now, still runs about 2 hours a day and eats like punishment. He doesn't dress in fake tough guy gear. No skull shirts, no biker nonsense. He had on a suit, a fitted charcoal suit, crisp white shirt, tie straight, shoes that had a shine you could use to check your hair. He walked like a man who knows every exit and can reach each one in under 3 seconds. That's a certain walk. You don't fake that. The hall dropped to quiet so hard you could hear glasses settle. Lisa's mother gasped. Her father stood up half an inch without realizing it. Evan swallowed so hard I saw his throat move at 30 feet. Mike didn't look at anybody except me. "Tom," he said, and his voice carried like a PA system. "That face mark new." "About 15 minutes, I said. He nodded once, slow. Then he turned his head, not his shoulders, just his head, and swept the room. Not fast, casual, like he was doing inventory and wouldn't mind correcting stock levels. Lisa made a small sound. I'm not proud of how good that made me feel, but I'm not going to lie either. Now, here's the beautiful part. I didn't tell Mike to play anything up. I didn't tell him to act tough. I didn't ask him to scare them. I didn't even tell him what happened. All I said was Garden Terrace Banquet. He knew the rest. "Everything all right in here?" he said to nobody in particular. Nobody answered. People who were whispering 10 minutes ago suddenly found their forks real interesting. Phones went dark like a flock of birds settling. Lisa's mascara had smudged just enough to make her look like she'd been caught. Evan looked small. My son is 6'1", but that night he looked 5'7". Mike stepped toward our table, slow. No rush. Every eye followed him. "You must be Lisa," he said. Lisa tried to gather herself. She smoothed her hair, squared her shoulders, did that press-the-lips smile. "And you are," she said. "Someone Tom helped when nobody else did," Mike said. "Which means when Tom calls, I show up. That answer work for you?" You could have bottled the silence in that hall and sold it as luxury sleep aid. Lisa opened her mouth, closed it, then did something I didn't expect. She turned to Evan and hissed, not even bothering to lower her voice. "Fix this." She doesn't say please to him. She tells him, "Fix this," like he was an assistant, not a husband. Because he looked at me and said, "Dad, you're making this a scene." That's what he said. Not, "Are you okay?" Not, "Lisa, you can't talk to him like that." Not, "You slapped my father." No. "Dad, you're making this a scene." Mike let out a sound that was not quite a laugh. "Kid," Mike said to him, "I was in Fallujah. This is not a scene. This is cake and folding chairs." I saw two men at a table in the back wipe their faces because they were trying not to laugh. A woman near the gift table actually clapped a hand over her own mouth. Lisa went pale. She knew she'd lost control of the room. She knew every aunt and every cousin and every co-worker from her dad's office was going to be telling this story in 10 different kitchens tomorrow morning, and she wasn't the hero in any version. That's when the tears started. Real this time. Not the pretty, glassy eyes from before. These were tight, ugly, scrunched-up tears. Losing power tears. My work here was done for the night. I leaned in so only Lisa and Evan could hear and said, "Calm. You will not set foot in my apartment without my say. You will not touch my keys. You will not touch my things. You will not speak for me. You will not suggest in public or private that I am moving anywhere. You will not take 1 more inch from me that you did not earn. We clear." Lisa swallowed. Evan looked at the table. "Answer me," I said. "We're clear," Lisa whispered. "We're clear," Evan said. "Good," I said. Then I patted Mike on the shoulder and said, "We're leaving." We walked out of that hall like the last 2 guys leaving a bar that had closed around us. In the parking lot, Mike said, "Who do I need to hurt?" "Nobody," I said. He raised an eyebrow. "I mean legally," I said. "Nobody. Not physically. Not unless they make first contact, and I'm not expecting that. You think I'm stupid." He snorted. "Then what do you want from me?" he said. "Tonight was public," I said. "That was about humiliation. It was about showing which direction the wind blows now. That was step 1. Step 2, he said. Step 2, I said, is I burn their life down in a way that keeps me free to watch." Mike smiled slow. "Tactical ruin," he said. "Exactly," I said. "You got a plan," he said. "Not yet," I said, "but I have motive, and I have motive from a clean source. That's enough for tonight." Mike nodded. "I'll check in," he said. "You call me before you escalate." "Yeah," I said. We both knew that was polite talk. Men like Mike don't actually say, "Good luck destroying your enemies. Call me if you need snacks." But he meant the check-in. If I called, he'd show again. That was enough. He left. I watched his taillights disappear out of the lot onto Route 17, and I felt my hand shaking for the first time since the slap. Not from fear. From adrenaline. Yeah, partly. But mostly from something else. Focus. When you get older, you lose a lot. Muscle goes first. Vision, if you had good vision to begin with. Sleep. Patience. But what you gain, if you pay attention, is focus. You learn you don't have to swing at every pitch. You wait for the one you want, and then you put the whole of your weight behind it. That night, I decided on the pitch. Before we continue, hit the hype button, subscribe and like the video to help the channel grow. Tell us which city you are from in the comments. We'd love to get to know our audience better. You think it ended there? It didn't. That wedding was Saturday. Sunday was quiet. You ever notice how the day after a disaster is quiet? People go into their little corners and lick wounds and write group chats and build their version of the story. Lisa was writing hers. I know because Mara told me. Mara is my upstairs neighbor. 62, retired nurse. Watches everything. She is not nosy. She's observant. There's a difference. Nosy people lean in to hear you. Observant people don't have to. The world comes to them. She knocked on my door at 9 a.m. Sunday with a foil-covered plate. Eat, she said. What is it? I said. Egg casserole with sausage and peppers, she said, and information. Come in, I said. She sat, watched me eat like a mother cat, and then said, Your daughter-in-law is telling people you hit her. I stopped chewing. She's what? I said. She's calling it elder confusion, Mara said. She's painting it like you got disoriented and lashed out. But don't worry, half the people there are saying the opposite. Some of them are using words like abusive and controlling, and they don't mean you. I'd say she's at 50-50 right now. If she keeps talking, she'll lose ground because she's not a sympathetic crier. Crying pretty doesn't read honest. Mara talks like that, straight, like a medical chart. Thank you, I said. Also, she said, at 1 a.m. last night your son and his wife tried to get into the building. My jaw tightened. I was up for my 3 a.m. pill, so I saw on the camera, she said. They tried your key at the front door for a while, like teenagers trying their parents' liquor cabinet. Eventually they left. They were mad. She kept poking him in the chest with her finger. He kept saying stuff like, just wait till Monday. Monday, I said. Monday, she said. My stomach went cold, the way metal goes cold in January. Monday means paperwork. Understand something. Real power in this country doesn't hit you. Real power doesn't even raise its voice. It files. Lisa is not stupid. She wasn't going to try to break the lock with a hairpin. She was going to file something. Financial guardianship, health authority, co-tenant claim, restructuring of asset control. I could hear all the phrases already. You think I'm making that up? I'm not. I've seen it. If you live long enough, you watch people smother their parents with kindness and a stack of notarized forms. Thank you, I said again. You going to be all right? Mara said. I'm going to be better than all right, I said. Good, she said, because I'm on your side, but I'm not bailing you out if you get stupid. Noted, I said. She patted my shoulder and left. I spent the rest of Sunday doing something Lisa would never think to do. I cleaned. Not dishes, not floors. I cleaned my life. Anything in that apartment that looked like leverage, I moved it. Passports, birth certificate, social security card, bank statements, title to my truck, spare keys, old photos, my late wife's ring, my old service papers. All of it went into a duffel bag and then into the bottom drawer of my old red Craftsman toolbox in my storage unit down by the marina. Not a storage unit with a code and a kiosk. No, my storage unit. The old bait freezer room behind Bayline Marine, which the new condo people don't even know exists because they put up nice white vinyl siding over the door and planted decorative grasses. I kept the original key. If you're thinking this sounds paranoid, you haven't had your own kid try to evict you from a life you built with your hands. By the time the sun went down Sunday, my apartment looked the same to anybody walking in. But legally speaking, I was a ghost. I slept light, woke up before 6, drank coffee straight, no sugar. I sat in my chair in the living room and watched the morning light creep across the floor. At 9:12 a.m., I heard the diesel rattle of a rental truck. I smiled. Right on time. It backed up the driveway like a garbage truck, engine growling, brakes squealing like they needed pads. I saw the big white box of it through my blinds, and I laughed. I couldn't help it. Of course they brought a truck. Transition the asset, she had said. Lisa marched up first. Yoga pants, expensive sneakers, designer sunglasses like armor. Clipboard. She had a clipboard. I am not making that up. She had printed lists. Evan followed, shoulders hunched. He looked like a kid dragging his feet to the principal's office. Behind them were two guys I didn't recognize. Hired muscle, but not real muscle. Local moving company kids. Skinny, ink, cheap gloves. The truck said quick haulers in spray font. I waited until Lisa was 2 steps from the door before I opened it. Morning, I said, cheerful. She froze. Then she smiled like we were best friends and she had just brought muffins. Tom, she said, perfect. We're here to start shifting you over. Shifting me, I said. Yes, she said. We talked about this. It's not safe for you to be here alone in this condition. We've already notified the landlord that you're transitioning to assisted cohabitation with family. Legally, as next of kin and power of familial interest, we can make sure you're protected, so we're going to get your essentials first, then we'll work on the rest of the personal items over the week. It'll be so much easier if you just let us handle it. You don't have to worry about a thing. You catch that? She was already rewriting the story. Assisted cohabitation. Protected, essentials, personal items. She had the phrases down. She'd practiced. Problem for her was that I had practiced too. First question, I said. Do you have a signed order granting you access to my apartment? She blinked. Second question, I said. Do you have a court document declaring me incompetent? Her jaw twitched. Third question, I said. Do you have a police escort to prevent a breach of peace? Now her smile cracked like old paint. We don't need all that, she said. We're family. Wrong, I said. Family's an emotional word. Access is a legal word. The door uses legal words. One of the quick hauler's kids snorted. He tried to hide it, but I saw it. Tom, Evan said, stepping forward, hands up like he was talking to a skittish horse. Dad, come on. Let's not make this ugly. This is for you. We're trying to help you. You can't keep living like this. It's not healthy. The stairs alone are a lawsuit waiting to happen. If you fall, you'll die down there and nobody will find you for days. You're worried nobody will find me, I said. Yes, he said, nodding fast, happy to have a point that sounded noble. Funny, I said. You didn't seem worried about finding me Saturday night when your wife hit me in front of 100 witnesses, and you told me I was making a scene. Color rose in his face. That was taken out of context, he said. I was there, I said. I am the context. Lisa cut in. This is getting dramatic, she said. Tom, I'm asking you one more time before we escalate this. Give me your keys. Let the boys start packing. We will do this kindly. Or we will do this through the proper channels and I will not be able to guarantee a soft landing for you. There it was. The threat. Soft landing. It's always dressed nice. They never say, I'll ruin you. They say, I won't be able to protect you. Okay, I said. Her eyebrows went up. Evan actually sighed in relief. The quick haulers shifted on their feet. But before I hand over any property, I said, I want to record you making that request, just so I'm clear mentally. You know. Because I'm so confused and old and disoriented and aggressive. That's the story you're telling, right? So I want to get your offer on video in case I forget it later. Lisa froze. I didn't say that, she said. Good, I said. Let's both say what we did and didn't say, on camera, right now. I took my phone out and held it up. Now understand something. I was not planning to call the police that second. I was not planning to post the video. I was not planning to sue her. That wasn't the play. The play was simpler. Lisa's whole weapon is narrative control. She wins rooms, she wins groups, she wins through image. You point a camera at somebody like her, and you turn her own weapon on her. She can't shape the story if she's on record threatening to escalate against an old man she's calling confused. Her face did this beautiful little twitch. She glanced at Evan. Evan gave her the same helpless shrug he gave her in the hall when she mouthed, "Fix this." That shrug said, "I can't fix it." That shrug said, "Don't make me choose, because you won't like who I pick." And in that moment, I watched my son die a third time. Lisa straightened. "We will be back with legal authority," she said in her cold voice. "There it is," I said, phone still up. "Thank you." Then I added, "By the way, if you or anyone you hire steps 1 foot in my unit without a signed court order, I will have you removed for trespass and I will swear out for harassment. I'm telling you now on camera so later you cannot claim elder confusion. This is me, lucid, Sunday sober, on my own 2 legs, telling you to stay off my porch." One of the quick hauler kids muttered, "Yo," under his breath. The other one scratched his jaw and looked down at his shoes. Lisa went from pale to red so fast it was almost funny. "This isn't over," she said. "I know," I said. "You can't keep living here," she said. "It's disgusting. It's unsafe. It's embarrassing. It's actually embarrassing." "There you go," I said, and I smiled. "Now we're being honest." She turned on her heel and walked back to the truck stiff, like her joints had rusted. Evan followed, trying to talk low, hands out, pleading. She didn't even look at him. She was already on her phone, already texting, already rebuilding the story in some group chat called something like Family Action Plan, where I am listed as problem. The quick haulers shrugged at me in a sorry old man way, climbed into the truck, and the diesel rattled back down the drive. I stood in the doorway watching them bounce over the potholes. My heart was going. My hands were steady. That was when I knew. They thought today was step 1 of moving me out. They did not understand that today was step 1 of moving them out. Revenge is a word people like to use because it sounds sharp. What I wanted wasn't sharp. It wasn't even hot. It was system work. You ever build a dock? Not slap planks on mud. I mean build a real dock. You don't start with wood. You start with water. You watch how the current moves at noon versus dusk, whether the south wind pushes chop, where ice forms first in January. You study the pressure, then you drive pilings, then you lay joists. Only after that do you walk out there. That Monday after they tried to move me, I started with current. Current number 1, money. People like Lisa run on image, but image is powered by money. She had a wedding she couldn't really afford without contributions from her parents. She had a leased SUV with dealer plates still on because payoff hadn't cleared. She had a ring that flashed too hard for a guy at Evan's income to have bought a loan. So who paid? I wasn't guessing. I drove to Harbour Federal after lunch. Little branch off Maple. I have banked there for 22 years. They know me. They know I don't bounce checks. They know when I say, I need to talk to a person, I mean it. I sat with Denise, 50, nails always perfect, eyeglasses on a chain. She's seen me in oil-stained coveralls and a suit, and never treated me different. Tom, she said, how's retirement life? If this is retirement, I want a refund, I said. She laughed. What can we do for you today? She said. I need printed statements of every withdrawal over 500 from my savings and checking for the last 6 months, I said. And I need to confirm that there are no automatic drafts or cosigns or liens on either account, except the ones we documented last year when I refinanced the truck. Her eyebrows went up just a hair, which in bank language means, oh, sweetheart, what did your family try? Absolutely, she said. Now, here's where I stay clean. I did not ask for anything that wasn't mine. I didn't ask for anybody else's account. I didn't ask for Evan's info. That would be illegal. I don't do illegal because illegal gives them the hammer. I wanted the hammer. She printed. We went line by line. No cosigns. No surprise liens. No quiet loans taken out in my name. Good. But there were withdrawals. Cash. 2,000 here, 1,500 there. Dates that matched wedding invoices I remembered seeing on Lisa's kitchen counter one night when I dropped off a toolbox Evan borrowed and never returned. So, yeah, I had helped pay for the wedding. It was my money. My son knew it. Lisa knew it. They just didn't think I'd follow it. I didn't get mad. I didn't say a word to Denise about it. I just nodded. "Can you sign and stamp the printouts?" I said. "Of course," she said. When she handed them to me, she leaned in and dropped her voice. "You okay, Tom?" she said. "I'm going to be," I said. She studied my face. "If somebody is trying to pressure you, you tell me," she said. "We have procedures." I smiled. "Thank you, Denise," I said. "But this one I'm going to handle myself." She smiled back slow. "In that case," she said, "burn them to the ground." "Yes, Ma'am," I said. I left the bank with a folder under my arm and something better than statements. I left with motive on paper. Here's why that matters. People think motive is for cops. Motive is for juries. Motive is for you, so when you start doing what you're about to do, you don't flinch. Current number 2. Work. Lisa has this idea of me as useless, old, fragile, a burden. It's a narrative she needs, because if I'm weak, then taking control of my life looks like kindness. If I'm strong, then it's theft. So I needed to prove in the public square that I was not weak. That afternoon I went to my regulars. Mrs. Pratt's busted disposal, Mr. Riley's porch railing. I did them all in one day. Cash. I made sure they saw I was steady on a ladder. I made sure they saw my grip didn't shake on a drill. I made sure they saw me carry lumber without huffing. Then I did something Lisa would never predict, because it doesn't live in her world. I told them why. "Lisa tried to get me declared incompetent," I said to Mrs. Pratt, loud enough that her neighbor could hear through the open kitchen window. "Tried to move me out of my own apartment. Hit me at my son's wedding in front of everybody, then tried to grab my keys. So I'm making sure people know I'm still working, and I'm still sharp, in case she tries to pull any paperwork." Mrs. Pratt is 74 and runs the neighborhood Facebook group like a war general. Her eyes went wide. "She hit you," she said. "In front of 100 witnesses," I said. "That girl with the white dress and the tight smile," she said. "That's the one," I said. Mrs. Pratt put a hand to her chest like a soap opera actress and said, "Oh, my lord." Then she said, "Don't you worry, Tom, I got you." Revenge tip. You do not have to smear people. You just have to tell the truth in a place where the truth will travel. Mrs. Pratt's page is where soccer schedules and lost dogs and HOA drama all intersect. You think Lisa's network of brunch friends can fight the rage of grandmothers united. You do not know war. Current number 3, housing. At this point, I knew Lisa's plan. Step 1, publicly humiliate me and frame me as confused. Step 2, move me physically. Step 3, claim possession. Step 4, leverage possession into actual control of the lease and then the asset when I die. She'd flip my unit as family housing or short-term rental or just sell off what she wanted because people like her see furniture as cash in slow form. So I made sure that could never happen. That night I drove to my landlord. My landlord isn't a corporation. It's a guy named Halloran who owns 3 buildings and a boat he can't really justify. He likes cash on time and no police calls. I have paid him cash on time for 11 years and the cops have never come to my door. His house is a split level with siding that needs wash. He answered with a beer in hand. "Tom," he said, "everything all right?" "I'm here as a courtesy," I said. "You and I are going to sign a statement saying you are not to release keys or access to my unit to anyone but me without a court order with a judge's signature. Not a copy. Original ink. You are going to keep that statement in your file, and I'm going to keep a copy in mine. If anyone tries to get cute, you call me first, and then you call your attorney, not theirs. We clear?" He stared at me a second, then snorted. "What happened?" he said. "My new daughter-in-law thinks I'm an ATM with legs," I said. "She tried to take my keys at the wedding reception and tell 100 people I was moving in with them Monday. Monday was today, in case you're wondering. She showed up with a truck like she was raiding an estate sale." Halloran let out a bark. "She tried to move you out of your own place," he said. "Yep," I said. Who does that? He said. Apparently Lisa Barrett, I said. Halloran laughed so hard he had to put the beer can down. I never liked that kid of yours, he said. Hands too soft. You and me both, I said. Get in here, he said. We'll write whatever you want. We sat at his kitchen table. His wife watched us with the look of a woman who has seen her husband cut corner after corner for 30 years and knows exactly where every body is buried, metaphorically speaking. She nodded when I told the story. She slid Halloran his reading glasses. She suggested specific language that sounded like she had maybe worked at a title office once and never forgot a single phrase. We typed, we printed, he signed, I signed, she witnessed. Now I had paper, not a court order, fine, but I had a dated statement from the property owner saying no access without my consent. In any future dispute, that statement is a shield. It shows I asserted control while competent. It shows Halloran acknowledged my competence. It shows premeditated boundary. Lisa's entire play depended on speed, on shock, on walking fast and talking fast and smiling fast, and getting people to nod fast. I had just poured wet concrete in her path. That night I slept deep. That was Monday, and Monday was just warm-up. Tuesday morning, Lisa went on the offensive. How do I know? I got the call at 9:40 a.m. from Evan's boss. Is this Mr. Barrett? The voice said. It depends who's asking, I said. This is Kevin, he said. I supervise Evan at Northridge Systems. Evan still calls it a tech startup when he talks about it at holidays, like he's in a garage building the future. It's a mid-tier project management firm with coffee machines that cost more than the chairs, standing desks that cost more than the cars in my parking lot, and a break room espresso machine you could probably use to launch a small satellite. They have a wellness coach on retainer and an office dog. You get the idea. What can I do for you, Kevin? I said. I want to ask you something as delicately as I can, he said. You could hear in his voice that he practiced this in his head first. This was a man who'd Googled what to say to an elderly parent in crisis and decided to stick to script. Are you safe at home? I laughed. I didn't mean to. It just jumped out of me. A short bark through my nose. The kind of sound you make when someone asks if you're lost in the grocery store and you're standing in your own kitchen. I'm fine, I said. Why? He sighed. I could hear him turn his chair away from other ears. I could picture him too. Khakis, polo shirt with company logo nobody's ever heard of, headset dent in his hair, office plants behind him so he looks approachable on Zoom. Nervous people always swivel when they're scared of being overheard. You could hear the cheap caster wheels. Evan called out this morning, he said. He said there was an emergency with you. He said he had to take emergency family leave because you're in a mental health crisis, and it's not safe to leave you unsupervised. He said you might hurt yourself or someone else. He said his wife is physically bruised from last night, and he's trying to keep this from getting ugly, but he needs time to deal with it. I am required, in a situation like that, to check for wellness, if I'm going to justify his leave. I sat there with the phone warm against my ear and felt something new. It was like anger, but not. Anger is noisy. Anger is hot and stupid and wants to kick over chairs just so it can hear them crash. This was quiet, dense, heavy. It sat low behind the ribs like a new organ. Something my body had just grown to handle this specific situation. Something I didn't have when Evan was 5 or 11 or 20 because I didn't need it then. It was patience sharpened to a point. Kevin, I said, do I sound confused to you? He cleared his throat. I could tell I had knocked him off his script. HR never trains them for when the old guy talks like a lawyer. No, sir, he said. Do I sound like I'm in crisis? I said. No, sir, he said. Do I sound like a danger to myself or anybody else? I said. There was a tiny pause there, just a breath. He understood that this question mattered in a way the first two didn't. The first two were about me embarrassing myself. This one was about him being dragged into something he'd have to explain in front of someone with a badge, or someone with a suit. "No, sir," he said. "Good," I said. "Now listen close, because this is important, and you may have to write it down later. My daughter-in-law hit me at the wedding, in public, in front of witnesses. I did not touch her. My son did not defend me. The next morning, they attempted, with a truck, to unlawfully remove my property from my apartment. I refused. I informed them on camera that any future attempt to enter without a court order would be considered trespass and harassment. I am currently sitting in my chair, drinking coffee, and reading a carburetor manual. I am fine. I am competent. I am dangerous only to stubborn machinery." Kevin was quiet a second. You know that kind of quiet where you can practically hear somebody blinking. That. "Understood," he said. "Now let me ask you something," I said. "Okay," he said. "Is your company the kind of place that likes liability?" I said. "No," he said. "We avoid that." "Good," I said. "Because if Evan is lying to you about a mental health crisis to secure paid leave, and he has put my name and alleged condition in your HR system, and I am telling you on a recorded line that he is lying, and you then repeat that lie anywhere, what you have is defamation with paper trail. And Lisa, who I assume is your employee's spouse, just falsely accused me of domestic abuse, which you also now have on record, so now your company is sitting in a puddle of their mess. That puddle is going to smell bad in court. You understand me?" "Yes, sir," Kevin said fast. I could picture him straightening in his chair, hand going for a pen, eyes flicking to whatever little internal chat they use. "Good," I said. "So here's what you're going to do. You're going to tell my son, as his supervisor, that he is not to use my name or alleged condition to secure time off. You're going to tell him that any conversation about me and my mental state is closed. Then, you're going to tell him he still has to come in and do the job you pay him to do. You are also going to email me at this address." I gave it, nice and slow. Spelled it twice. You do not rush the good parts. "And you are going to confirm in writing that at 9:44 a.m. Tuesday, you spoke with me and found me lucid, calm, and in no need of supervision or intervention. You're going to keep that email, and I'm going to keep that email, and when Lisa tries her next move and drags you in, you're going to show that email to HR and say, 'We are not touching this.'" Kevin let out a long breath. More than a sigh. The kind of breath a man lets out when he realizes he stepped into a fight and somehow ended up on the right side of it by accident. "Mr. Barrett," he said, "I'm going to be honest with you. I did not expect this call to go like this." "Neither did I said. "But here we are." He was quiet for a second. His voice, when he spoke next, dropped. That natural instinct people get when they know they're saying something that is true and a little disloyal, and they like how that feels, even if they're not supposed to. "For what it's worth," he said, voice lower, "Evan's a decent worker. But your daughter-in-law scares me, and I only met her twice." "She scares him too," I said. "That's not an excuse. That's just weather." "That's how I see it. People like Lisa are weather. You don't get mad at the storm for being a storm. You get mad at the idiot who walked you out in it without an umbrella and said, 'No, it'll be fine. It's just a drizzle.'" "I'll send that email," he said. "You do that," I said. "Is there anything else you want me to communicate to him when he comes in?" Kevin said. There it was. The small bonus. I hadn't even asked, and the door opened. "Yes," I said. "Tell him this exact wording. Write it down if you have to. You ready?" "I'm ready," he said. "Tell him," I said. "Your father said this. You just told your boss I'm crazy. Now I'm going to show you what crazy looks like, and you're going to wish I'd been what you said I was." Kevin went completely still. "Should I maybe paraphrase that?" he said, careful. "No," I said. "Say it the way I said it, word for word. And Kevin, do not say it like it's a joke." "Understood," he said. We hung up. I set the phone down and stared at the wall for a second. The drywall in my living room has a hairline crack that runs from the top corner of the window frame down to the baseboard. It's been there for years. Settling crack. I always told myself I'd fix it, and then didn't, because I figured, who am I impressing? Nobody comes here but me. That morning, looking at it, I thought about Lisa standing in my doorway with her little clipboard, and Evan behind her, and the quick hauler boys shuffling their feet in their matching shirts. I thought about Lisa rehearsing that line, "It's not safe for you to be living alone at your age." I thought about Evan nodding like a bobblehead, mouth tight, like he was already practicing the speech he'd give his friends. "My dad's declining. It's sad. We're taking over. It's for his own good. You know how it is." I thought about him saying those things and soaking up the sympathy. Poor Evan, saddled with the burden of his aging father. Poor Evan, such a good son, doing the hard thing. What a man. And then that same son called his boss and filed me under threat. He called out emergency family leave because I was a danger. He did that. My son, the boy I taught to tie his shoes, using my own bootlaces as an example. I remember that day. He was 4. He had those little red sneakers with the Velcro straps, and he wanted grown-up laces like Dad. I sat on the porch step with him, and we practiced on my boot, not his shoe, because his hands weren't strong enough yet to pull the lace tight through those tiny kid eyelets. We went loop over loop for 20 minutes, and when he finally got it right, he looked at me like I had just given him fire. That kid, the boy I carried on my shoulders at County Fair so he could see the demolition derby. He'd been scared of the noise at first and then fell in love with it. I can still feel the way his hands grabbed my forehead while he yelled, "That one, Dad, that one. Get him, get him." His voice was pure joy. I couldn't hear right for 2 days after from the engines and the metal screaming, but it was worth it. That kid, the boy I sat with in hospital waiting rooms when he got stitches in his chin at 9 and braces at 12, he used to squeeze my hand so hard his knuckles went white. He'd say, "Is it going to hurt?" And I'd say, "Yeah, probably, but you're tougher than you think." And then he'd square himself and nod like this was a job he had to clock in for. That boy had just told his boss, "I'm unstable, unsafe, and abusive." He said his wife was bruised. From me. He said I might hurt myself or someone else. That wasn't strike 4. That was declaration of war. And don't kid yourself. I don't use that word lightly. People love to throw around war for anything now. Somebody doesn't text back, it's war. Somebody takes your parking spot, it's war. That's not war. That's irritation with Wi-Fi. Real war is when another person stands there and calmly builds a story designed to erase your rights, your voice, your dignity, and your place to sleep. Real war is paperwork with teeth. Real war is smiling while they push you towards the exit like it's for your own good. If you think I'm being dramatic using that word, then you've never had your own kid try to paint you as crazy on official paperwork. And just in case you're telling yourself, maybe Evan didn't understand what he was saying, maybe Lisa coached him, let me stop you there. He is 33 years old. He knows what mental health crisis means in corporate HR land. He knows what not safe to leave unsupervised means. He knows what might hurt himself or someone else means. Those aren't words you accidentally roll out. Those are words you load like a round and fire. He fired. That afternoon I called Mike. "This the escalation call," he said. "No hello, no how you doing. That's how you know which men are real. They don't pretend to be surprised that gravity still works." "Yeah," I said. "Lay it on me," he said. I told him about the truck, about the boss, about Lisa's narrative, about the attempt to force move-in, about the bank statements, about Halloran signing the access restriction, about Mrs. Pratt's network already spinning up like an air raid siren in the neighborhood group chat. I told him about the line Kevin agreed to send me in writing. I told him about Evan trying to get corporate paperwork to say I was a threat. I didn't raise my voice once. He whistled low when I hit the part about Evan calling out of work on emergency watch. Kid just torched his own reference check and doesn't even know it, Mike said. I'm past caring about his job, I said. Where you headed then? He said. I'm going to take their house, I said. He laughed at first, a real laugh. I could hear him settling back, probably putting his boots up on whatever table he uses when he needs to listen fully. You can't just take somebody's house, he said. I'm not stealing a deed, I said. I'm not dumb. I'm going to take it the way termites take a beam. Quiet, inside, bit by bit, until one good shove and the whole thing folds. Mike went quiet in that particular way he does when he's impressed. With Mike, silence is not emptiness, it's gears aligning. Walk me through, he said. Step 1, I said. I make Evan lose status, not just job. Status. She's only with him because he's useful. He stops being useful. She's going to scramble. Step 2, I make Lisa look unreliable in public. Employers, friends, the kind of mom she competes with at yoga, the women she brags to, the ones she needs to clap for her. I make those women see her as chaos, not aspiration. Step 3, I force them physically into my house anyway. Mike blinked. I could hear it, little intake of breath. You want them in your house, he said. Yeah, I said. They tried to take it from me. I'm going to give it to them. That's the fun part. Explain, he said. I'm going to let them move in, I said. On my terms, under my conditions. With my wiring, my plumbing, my food, my rules, my cameras, my mouth. I'm going to make that house so miserable, so relentless, so suffocating, that their marriage starts to crack under it. And while they're busy hating each other, and blaming each other, and fighting about who's more at fault for living like this, I'm going to be in every room, smiling, making coffee. I am going to become the third person in their marriage. I am going to sit in their kitchen in my robe and ruin every quiet moment they will ever try to have. I am going to slow drip poison into every conversation until they can't stand the sound of each other's breathing. And I am never, ever going to raise a hand. Mike let out a low laugh that had no humor in it. It wasn't delight, it was recognition. It was the sound a man makes when he realizes the quiet guy in the corner has been sharpening something under the table for an hour and nobody noticed. That, he said, is darker than anything I was about to suggest. I told you, I said. I'm done being nice. You sure you can handle sharing space with them, he said. I'm not sharing, I said. I'm occupying. There's a difference. And besides, I'm going to control the environment. What do you mean control the environment, he said. Simple, I said. Right now they think moving in with me is an upgrade. Free rent. Built-in sitter for when they eventually pop a kid out and call it a gift to the world. Someone to walk the dog they don't have yet, but already follow 3 rescue pages for. They think I'm a retirement plan with legs. They think they walk in here and it's theirs. They think I become furniture. Old dad in the recliner, quiet, grateful, out of the way. Groceries show up. Utilities get folded into one bill. Everybody smiles at Thanksgiving and pretends it's love. And, Mike said, and I'm going to make this place unlivable to anybody but me, I said. Not unsafe. I'm not stupid, not illegal, not harmful, just relentless. I'm going to set the thermostat to what I like and never move it. I'm going to cook food that smells like a diner on a truck stop off-ramp at 2 a.m. every day at 5 a.m. I'm going to run the washer at midnight and the dryer at 4 in the morning. I'm going to shower for 30 minutes and use all the hot water right before her yoga class. I'm going to watch the loudest, dumbest cable shows at volume 38 and pretend I can't hear when she asks me to turn it down, because the baby's sleeping, even though there's no baby yet. I'm going to have friends over. My friends. Mike, I'm going to invite you over for poker night and loud sports arguments on Thursdays, when she tells her friends it's her night to reset and journal. I'm going to leave my boots on the kitchen table and then act offended when she moves them. I'm going to cut onions at 6 in the morning. Raw. No fan. You ever cut onions at 6 in the morning and let it sit in a small apartment? By noon, the whole place smells like a sandwich shop dumpster. I'm going to do that. I'm going to talk on the phone in the hallway outside their bedroom door when I know they're fighting and pretend I don't hear them. I'm going to be too present to ignore and too lawful to remove. Mike let out a breath. You're going to siege them, he said. Exactly, I said. I'm going to be the mold in their marriage. You can't see where it started and you can't scrub it out without ripping the drywall off. And then, he said, and then, I said, I start talking to her friends, to his boss, to her parents, to her yoga group, to the neighbors on both sides of whatever subdivision she brags about living in. I start letting the truth leak. Nothing that puts me in danger, nothing she can sue me for. Just the truth, the slap, the truck, the fake mental health emergency, the attempt to grab my keys in front of 100 witnesses, the way she told everyone I'd be moving in because he can't manage on his own when I'm out here doing railing repairs and garbage disposals for cash, like a man half my age. I tell that version. Calm, reasonable, measured, and I tell it over coffee, over fences, in front yards. People are going to start asking her questions. People are going to look at her like she's toxic. Her whole life is curated image. If I dirty that, even just a thumbprint on the glass, she is going to start to crack. Mike was quiet a long time. I could hear him shifting, maybe rubbing his jaw. You know this is going to get loud, he said. Oh yeah, I said. You know they're going to scream that you're abusive, controlling, vindictive, manipulative, he said. They already are, I said. Difference is, now I'm actually going to be. You know Evan might hate you forever after this, he said. Newsflash, I said. Evan's already gone. Whatever's left in there isn't mine. He made that clear when he called his boss and said I was a danger. This is cleanup. Mike let out a short breath. All right then, he said. What do you need from me? I smiled even though he couldn't see it. I need you to come by Thursday night, I said. For poker night, he said. For presents, I said. I want Lisa to feel what it feels like when the house doesn't answer to her voice. I want her to understand, in her bones, that she doesn't run this ground, and trying to take it from me was the last mistake she gets to make that doesn't cost her permanent things. You planning on letting them know Thursday is poker night ahead of time, he said. Oh, absolutely, I said. I'm going to invite them. I'm going to make it sound like bonding, family building. Hey kids, why don't you sit with us a while? Learn how to play, be part of something. I'm going to sell it like a Hallmark commercial. And then, when they sit down, I'm going to talk with you and the guys about valves, and old cars, and property lines, and county inspectors, and how to build a wall that passes code but makes certain people real uncomfortable. I'm going to let them sit there not understanding a word, feeling like outsiders in their own supposed home. You're mean, Mike said. I'm efficient, I said. Same thing sometimes, he said. Yeah, I said. And after poker night, he said. After poker night, I said, we start phase 2. I make sure Lisa understands something she has never had to understand in her entire life. And what's that? He said. That embarrassment, I said, slow, so he could feel it, doesn't wash off. He didn't answer right away. I could hear him thinking about that. He saw the way Lisa's face went white. He saw the way Evan shrank. He saw me standing there, with a red mark on my cheek and my jaw set like bedrock. Tom, he said finally, voice lower than before. I'm going to say something, and I mean it with respect, all right? Say it, I said. You scare me a little right now, he said. Good, I said. Then we're getting somewhere. We hung up and I sat there for a long time in the quiet. The truth is, I scared myself a little too. Not because I thought I was going to hurt anybody. I wasn't. That's not what this is. I'm not going to lay hands on my son or his wife. I wasn't scared of that. I was scared because I knew in that moment that I was not lying to him. I was not blowing smoke. I was not puffing my chest to feel big again. I meant every single thing I had just said. I was going to pull them into my house and salt the earth under their marriage while they watched. I was going to pull their image out from under them like a rug and let them hit the floor in front of their audience. I was going to turn Lisa's favorite weapon, public opinion, into a blade pointed back at her throat, and I was going to do it without a single thing she could hand to a cop or a judge or a lawyer in a clean suit. People think revenge is yelling. Revenge is patient paperwork. Revenge is who tells the story and who believes it. Revenge is who gets invited to the neighborhood barbecue and who does not. Revenge is who gets whispered about in grocery aisles. Revenge is who other women warn their friends about when those friends say, "She seems so put together, I wish I had her discipline." The good part, for me, is that Lisa never learned how to live without an audience. She loves the eyes, she feeds on them, she poses for them, she breathes for them. Everything about her is staged for viewing. The hair, the nails, the shiny kitchen with the fake "but first" coffee sign, the white couch you can't actually sit on, the container pantry like a showroom, the little jars labeled quinoa and chia like she's prepping for a cooking channel. You know what happens when you turn off the audience on a person like that? They come apart. Fast. And Evan, my son, he doesn't even know yet that he's already floating. He's out past the markers, still waving at shore, not understanding how fast the current took him. He thinks she's the boat. He thinks if he clings to her, he can rest. He doesn't realize she's a cinder block. She will pull him straight down and watch the bubbles rise with a sad little face and tell anyone who asks later that she did everything she could. So no. I'm not worried about hurting Evan. I'm worried about watching him drown and feeling nothing. That's when I understood I'd crossed the line I can't uncross. That was the day I stopped being their father and started being their problem.